wrote the show entirely because it was so bad.
Right.
But looking at it, actually having watched the show in Japanese, I don't understand what was bad about it. I just think that he's a salty bitch who doesn't understand what quality is.
Yes.
So from
Yeah,
I
like,
have
watched...
admittedly.
Oh, go ahead, Ripper.
I was gonna say I have admittedly haven't been keeping up with all of it because you all were doing such a good job, and I was like, I'll save all my questions for the stream. And from what I've seen, it just kind of it looks like they didn't even use any of the things he wanted to change with the story anyway.
Yep.
So
he
made a big stink about it, and it didn't even actually come true.
Well, I actually has a theory about that.
Think about it. He did all this work. He did all the... Okay.
I have myself a hypothesis about why this is. But
an anime hypothesis. Thanks for watching.
An anime analysis.
But look, like what he claimed that he threatened to quit the production as the only person who would work on it for free. If the mangaka got she had an anime cameo.
Well, let's because I'm going to be reading through the whole document. I think.
Yeah.
I think we'll let it speak for itself, and we'll cover points as they come up. Because trust me, right away you're going to see there are some immediate red flags about his mentality on this project.
Yeah. When should we go over the basic plot of Lovely Complex, at least to the point that I know so far?
I mean, I think we can introduce the
I think
very
that's
basics.
at the top of the article.
Yeah, I think it might be at the top. We'll see what he says, and if he doesn't go into the core concept of it, then I'll let you do a quick rundown.
Sure.
Okay, so here we go. Getting right into this. Marissa and I wrote an anime dub, the Lovely Com dub compilation video. Here's a compilation of all my favorite moments from the English dub of Lovely Complex, scripts written by Marissa, Lenti, and myself, with both of us directing the actors as well. This post is free because I wanted to talk about our work on this show, but I obviously don't want to paywall it as I don't own it. The full explanation about this show and the dub's production is below. You may find it interesting to read this before watching the above clips. It's a bit of a long and winding road to get to the compilation above, but I think it's worth it. Or you guys can just watch the video, no thoughts, head empty, and enjoy it. I hope you all think these clips are funny, because I do. All right, so far?
Yeah,
nothing terrible, I don't think. A little self-aggrandizing, but it's fine.
I think that it's a little bit insulting that he would be like, no thoughts, head empty. It's like, yeah, because you probably don't want people to, go watch the actual sub. Yeah, think critically about anything.
Just consume product and be excited for next product when they will totally let me localize anime again. Totally.
Yeah. So here we go.
So he posted this to his Patreon as a free thing? He just you didn't have to pay.
Correct.
Apparently.
Okay. So he was that excited to put this out there into the world. He thought this was going to be He thought this was going to be the thing. This was the fire under his pants that was going to get him going.
Yep.
Or you have seen nothing yet.
M3D says, in reading Jujutsu Kaisen, which has a terrible translator and seeing mistranslations and nuances lost in translation, I kind of get people's grievances. However, some complainers need to get shoved in lockers. Trust me, I'm pretty sure we all here have a very nuanced angle when it comes down to it. We are not all we are all definitely not translate it raw, and we're all definitely not change everything. We understand that there is a balance to a lot of these things, and we'll get into that. Believe me.
Yeah. I will say quickly, of the English dubbed episodes of Lovecom that I have watched, there are very slight nuances that they take away from the Japanese version of the anime that I think kind of hurts the characterization of the characters a little bit. It's not that big a deal, but it still is a bit of a shame because it just makes the characters flatter, honestly.
It certainly hurts the characterization of his characterization of the show.
Yeah.
funny. But like, yeah, and also to establish, I managed to watch both the sub and dub episodes for episodes 1 through 3. At this point, I didn't have the time to go through 5 episodes like I wanted to.
Cuaca panas, macet-macetan di jalan, capek kerja seharian. Eits, tenang. Semua bisa balik sekali. Hydro Coco Fix Auto Glycerin.
Hidup kok kerja terus.
Kerja kok main-main. Obat kok gitu.
Saatnya kita ubah pernyataan jadi pertanyaan.
Kerja apa ya itu?
Obatnya kenapa itu ya?
Kenapa sih itu? Jadi lebih banyak peluang, cara, inspirasi. Saatnya kita bertanya untuk jadi lebih mengerti.
But I have some thoughts, and we'll express them going in.
Alrighty. Hey all, at various points over the last 2 years, my best pal Marissa Lenti and I were working on a dub of an old anime called Lovely Complex, aka Lovecom. You might have heard us whispering quietly about some kind of project in the old streams. Well, this was it. Lovely Complex is an old shoujo romantic comedy from 2007 about a tall girl, Risa, and a short boy, Otani, who don't want to date because their massive height differences. 5 whole inches. Wow! Already pause.
That's a whole head of height difference.
Yeah, and you need to step
we-
back and consider this is Japanese culture where height can mean
Was
a
about to
whole hell
say.
of a lot. Like a short guy
Yeah,
in Japan gets fucked over pretty hard. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
As a short guy in America, I get fucked over pretty hard too. Like, trust me. This is not like it's bad here. It's probably a lot worse there.
Yes, you can find a fan sub that is not Jello's. There's a lot of really older fan subs that are floating around out there, as well as some on different websites. I actually watched through 2 different dubs on some of these episodes, so I could see the difference between people's different interpretations. And for the most part, they were actually fairly accurate to each other, but some of the jokes did change depending on who was subbing it. And they were both different from the actual English dub.
This thing starts out so kind of promising because it's like, oh, you might have heard us talking about doing this thing. There's this old anime that we're working on dubbing, and it sounds like, oh, that's so cool. You just were so passionate about this old project that never got like a good enough dub that you as a fan is trying to like bring new life into it. But instead, it's a whole spite. It's fueled entirely through
And then
spite.
he dumps a whole jar of mercury into the well. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I do want to say for anyone who isn't American, the main female character's height is 172 centimeters, and the love interest's height is 153 centimeters.
What's that in freedom units?
5'7" for the main female lead, and 5'1" for the main male lead.
Yeah. Ellipsis Mark, I want to speak up and tell you all, you guys gave me the nerve to publish my book, World of Demi-Humans, Freshman Orientation to Amazon Direct. Well, congratulations!
Hey.
Everyone go check that out.
Yeah, dude. Congrats.
Congratulations.
World of Demi-Humans, Freshman Orientation. Everyone, please go check it out. See if it's up your alley. Go ahead, give it a purchase or download, whatever she has it set to. He, she, I don't know if... I don't know why. I just presumed she was. You could be a guy for all I know. And that'll be relevant in this stream later. You'll see.
God.
But yeah, no.
just
I
remembered-
already. This guy is dismissing the core concept of the show as
and that
kind of
is-
laughable. When it's like, no, it's not. The motherfucker.
Yeah, like both of the
Wait,
main
what?
characters.
Wait, guys, what? Guys, you're telling me that English localizers do not understand Japanese culture?
Well, Jello Apocalypse doesn't. That's
Jello Apocalypse doesn't. But
I want to be fair here.
That's insane.
I
That's
don't.
insane.
I don't want to
Well,
make
yeah,
a
I
judgment
know.
on.
I won't.
Yeah. I personally, I mean, you can. Make
Yeah, I
whatever
don't
you
want.
but
I don't want to
wanna
make a whole
sure.
judgment on the freaking. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't want. I'm being facetious. I
Yeah.
don't portray this to like Western localizers in general. I'm much nuanced in regards to that.
Fool's Gill.
But when as you'll see with Jello, he is the opposite. He's gonna have a not so very nuanced perspective on the dub. On his work here and in the series. So
Yeah.
Also, I want to say, for the average height of women in Canada and the United States, the average seems to be 5'5" or 5'6". And that is an average. That is taking the tallest women and the shortest women, and kind of like finding the middle ground of like the average height between all of women across the countries. So like that's not tall for a Westerner. When it comes to a woman, like that is above average, but for a Japanese woman that would be
you're
different,
right.
since averages I think in Japan are a lot shorter. They are more
They are
5'1",
much
4'11" sort of thing. So like the male love interest, Otani, he is the height of a Japanese girl. So he has a complex about being considered feminine.
I think that is actually the intent, because I'm pretty sure
Hey,
the average
that's in the
male
title.
height. I think the average male height over there is about 5'6", 5'7".
Yes,
Maybe a
it
little,
is.
yeah. So it's like the entire idea is they're inverted what the average is supposed to be.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at, is that he has a complex about being feminine and she has a complex about being masculine. And so that their insecurities drive a lot of the plot of the show. And also their
Is they're inverted.
initial dislike towards each other at the beginning of the anime and the manga.
right.
Nikhil Kapoor says, I really like the behind the scenes stuff mentioned in this document. I just don't think he should have trash talked the anime in the same breath. We'll get there, because I'm pretty sure some of it's mixed in. Did you send that 3 times? Why am I getting 3 super chats for that? That's
Oh dear.
strange. I mean,
Only seeing one.
I'm not.
So it might
oh,
be
really? That
on
might be
your
an
end.
glitch on my
please
end.
go
All
check.
right, that's strange. But yes, continue with the document. If you think that sounds like the same plot as Netflix Tall Girl, a thing people relentlessly made fun of for being,
Fuck
quote,
off.
pretty stupid, well, yes, it's the same plot. Lovecom is considered a grandmother of the shoujo genre, mostly because
Oh my god, no,
old.
it's not. Oh my god, there are shoujo anime that are much older than fucking 2001.
Isn't
okay?
Sailor Moon considered shoujo?
It is shoujo.
Yes.
Shoujo has
Yeah.
been around since the 60s.
Yes. What?
I was going to say,
Oh
like,
wow!
what the
I don't
fuck
know,
is this guy
Raymond.
talking about?
Maho Shoujo. I wonder if
Okay,
it's
look,
shoujo.
I know, but like Maho Shoujo versus Shoujo, like strict, I don't know if there's a distinguishment or if it's considered mostly a subplot.
Maho Shoujo has been around for a very long time. I think one of the first ones was Pinky Momo, and I think that came out in the 70s. It wasn't until Sailor Moon that that action-oriented battle shoujo like Sailor Moon became a thing. Sailor Moon invented the sailor uniform fighting as a team, like a female tokusatsu Super Sentai sort of thing. That was invented by Sailor Moon, but magical girls existed before Sailor Moon.
And this is why we ask questions, people. We get information.
Yep.
But yeah, so this guy immediately just torpedoes so much of his intellectual like bearing by immediately comparing it to Tall Girl. I've never heard of Tall Girl, but by the way you guys talk about it, it's apparently not very good.
Tall Girl is very bad.
You are a precious child, Raymond. I'm gonna say it right now. Tall Girl was awful. It's this like it has a very similar premise Not entirely, because it's even more focused on the main girl, who's the tall chick. But like, it's really, really bad and emotionally manipulative. After watching the first 3 episodes of this show, comparing this shit to that is a fucking insult.
Yeah.
Wasn't the tall girl
110%.
in Tall Girl? Wasn't she like over 6 feet tall? Like she was like
Yeah.
more tall than everyone else in the whole like world, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
And the main thing that made her unlikable that everybody complained about is that she didn't consider anyone else's feelings but her own, which is not true for the main character in Lovely Complex, Risa. She has said multiple times, like, yeah, I'm feeling bad, but you don't have to not enjoy this thing just because I'm feeling bad. And her friends say, no, I'm gonna stick with you because you're my friend. So how is that anything similar to Tall Girl? Because the main
That
thing
would
was
never
that
happen in Tall Girl.
she was incredibly selfish.
Yeah.
The dynamic of the girl being the tall one and the guy being the shorter one, that's actually pretty common in the West. So I don't know why Jello's first thought was, oh, that one movie that didn't even do very well.
It's almost like he doesn't watch much media.
Excalibur2343 says, Sonic Frontiers distracted me. What have I missed? You missed that ring on the left. Go
Did you
get
just
it.
pronounce Excalibur?
No. It's Excalibur. I can read it. It's right there. It's a U.
Can I not read it? Oh man! Oh, my glasses! Oh no!
This man either runs an auto shop or a sex shop, and I'm not gonna ask which.
Critter needs to get glasses for her glasses.
I haven't replaced my glasses in like 7 years.
She needs to get like one of those glasses you have like in National Treasure, where like it folds down with the several lenses, like over.
And also, maybe I just can't read. Also.
Even though it came out nearly 2 decades ago, Lovecom did not have a dub until Sound Credence's CEO Amber Lee Connors grabbed the rights to the dub from Discotek because it was an old favorite of hers. Discotek did not want to order a dub because dubs are typically very expensive, so Sound Cadence endeavored to make the dub while spending as little money as possible.
And that's admirable
That's
that
very
she
admirable.
did this.
Yeah.
She did this out of a
110%.
passion project, and I love that so much.
We need more of this.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure.
This is something that like the anime industry still has the chance to be more of. Is more of a roots level industry where people just do the things they want to do. And I get it that doing things for free sounds terrible. Like we have, believe me, we have all heard the horrors of crunch culture from like the video game industry and anime dubbing and that kind of stuff. But people doing things with a passion, even if they are making personal choices to sacrifice time and effort to do these things, is not an inherently unadmirable trait. Inherently, it can also be an admirable one. I think as long as people understand what they're getting into and they are not actively hurting themselves to do it, we should encourage people putting the time and effort to make things they love a reality.
Absolutely. And the fact that Amber Lee Connors and Discotek, especially the absolute fucking champions, they have been doing the most preserving this shit for ages. I even know a couple people who one person who works partially works there, and they do a lot of great work.
Izanagi says, okay, yeah, I'm pissed off as hell. Jello seems to be ignorant and awful, and frankly, I'm kind of glad he's blacklisted now. Oh, we'll get to that. We'll get to that, Isa. And Excalibur says both. So that answers that question. It's a 2-in-1 shop, I guess. Get lubed while your car's lubed.
Oh my god, no.
There, you got a slogan. You run with it. This production was almost entirely asking people to cash in favors. The leads both played their parts for free, and Marissa was set to write and direct the adaptation, also for free. 'Twas a labor of love. Come. Oh no, how witty.
Not funny.
To save money on all the extra
Not
voices,
funny.
most of the
Didn't laugh.
voices in this dub were grabbed in an unusual way. Usually companies that dub anime are working on more than one show at a time. If they have an actor in for show A and they have extra time in a session, they may bring that actor into show B to voice some background extras. Because the actor is already there for another show and they're being paid the same amount of money for the same time slot, it makes sense to utilize them in multiple shows. Funimation and Crunchyroll also does this because it saves a lot of time and money. Lovecom was dubbed almost entirely in this way, which is one of the many reasons this dub took 2+ years to come out in a world full of simuldubs and weekly releases. Because of this, you can go episode by episode and look at the additional voices credits to tell when it was recorded by comparing what other shows those actors were in at sound cadence, kind of like looking at the rings of a tree in a trunk.
Hey, today we're keeping...
Okay, you know what? That's really neat. That's a neat bit of information.
That is actually super cool.
Yeah.
Like, all right, okay, we got one good paragraph.
Look at
All
that,
right,
guys.
Jello.
We learned something.
All right, we're on the up and up here, buddy. All right, that's it. The other reason this
All right,
dub
let's
took
keep
so
it up.
long is that the production was cursed, and it's sunk. We'll see, because
wow.
I've heard nightmarish tales. I mean,
We'll see.
have I talked? I think I've mentioned this at least at Twilight. I've met J. Michael Tatum, and I had just watched Steins Gate earlier that summer before I met him, and I basically told him how much it meant to me. It was such an important anime to me and how much it pulled me through a dark time in my life. And he was so thankful for it. We had like a small little moment over it because apparently it had been a really, really, really rough production because he was the head writer of it. And we had this really just very nice, warm moment together. And I cherish that memory so much. So I understand that a cursed production isn't necessarily for the production, for the actual result isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just, it kind of sucks to go through.
Yeah, and I do think what Jello is meaning here is that anything that could possibly go wrong did go wrong. I think that's what he meant by cursed.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to get into it right here.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not at liberty to go into all the details, but suffice to say that anything that could go wrong at some point did, as Twilight just said. Thank you for repeating her, Jello. Very rude of you. Marissa's spine snapped just before they finished directing, and I had to take over directing leads for the last third of the series because I was the only other person who would do it for free. Nobuko's actor was literally deported at one point mid-production. Jesus Christ.
Oh, wow.
We often joked
Jesus.
about a meteor hitting the distribution warehouse once the Blu-rays were printed because the universe clearly did not want this dub to be made. Okay, more good information. This is the good stuff that I like hearing about. It's the production woes. It makes the finished product all that much sweeter too, because it's like, man, you guys put so much effort into this. Even with the rough spots, it's like, you know what? That little sweetness can glaze it over. It's good.
This is the kind of really interesting stuff that I appreciate.
And it can help you like understand like how certain
Nice
like
behind the scenes.
overcoming adversity. Like when you learn like that that the studio, that while they were working on Madoka Magica, that there was a big flood, and then you're like, oh, that's why some of these shots are done so weirdly, because a lot of things had to get changed after that happened.
Yeah. Or, I mean, in a less beneficial extent, you learn that the studio cut 2 episodes of Ruby Volume 9, and you're like, oh, that's why there was a weird time skip. And like the last 3 episodes.
Or hell, you hear about
Rahasia gue, Poshman Roll On. Cowok berkeringat, biasa. Bau badan, nggak banget bro. Baru, Poshman Roll On Active Cool. Lawan 99% bau badan. Active Sense, wangi tahan lama. Poshman Roll On, tersedia Deo Lotion Sachet.
Kayaknya token listrik gue habis deh guys. Gue beli dulu ya keluar. Nah, gue udah beli token listrik nih. Selesai. Lama sih lo. Mau nonton BRI Liga 1 batal gara-gara token listrik habis. Makanya, isi token listrik pakai Brimo. Brimo memang mudah dan serba bisa.
Brimo.
In fact, people have heard about, probably talked about a lot of the production problems the studio Gainax when they were making Neon Genesis Evangelion originally, and you see how the finished project is, and it makes you appreciate how well it came out relative
Yeah, and
to that.
how creative they got with it. There's I'm gonna show
Yes.
Evangelion to Twilight at some point, but it's not the biggest spoiler. There is a scene at the
What?
very end of the series, like one of the last episodes, where they hold on a
I
still
know what you're
frame
talking about.
for like a minute and a half,
Oh, I know about that.
and it fucking works.
I've heard about that.
It fucking works because of how everything was
works.
set up. It's like, yeah, no, that makes complete and utter sense. It's great. It's great. It's like super smart. But yeah, that's learning this stuff is really cool. So you know what? For all of his faults, it is cool that we get to learn this from a little bit of Jello Apocalypse. This is the kind of stuff that we want to hear.
Yeah.
My involvement started when Marissa told me she was annoyed about having to localize the scripts for the show because she had just watched through the show and didn't really like the characters. Oh, that's not a good sign, though, is it? I thought this would be a good opportunity to get some extra experience in writing localization scripts in case I ever wanted to write a dub. Maybe Bomberman Jetters or something, I don't know. So I volunteered to help out. Man, I wonder if that'll ever happen for you, buddy. The two of us spent many, many hours across many, many days slugging through Lovecom episodes, and while Marissa thought she sorta hated Lovecom's original writing, I came to the conclusion that I definitely hated Lovely Complex.
Why though? Like, you have to explain why. Like,
Oh, like it's a
No,
job.
don't care. Do your job.
yeah, like it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it is still your job. You have to be professional about this, regardless of whether or not you hate what you're working on. You still have to work on
This
it.
could have been an inspirational moment. This could have been an inspirational moment where he says, I definitely hated the writing of Lovely Complex, but by gummit, I stuck through and I did my job like a true professional and I adapted this as best I could because that was what I was hired to do. Like that right there, that could be fucking inspirational to
That's
everyone.
actual professionalism. That's
Yeah.
professionalism. Because, like, I'm pretty goddamn sure that when Berserk 2016 was being dubbed, and I'm pretty sure it featured a lot of the same voice actors that appeared in the original dub for Berserk 97. I'm pretty sure when they had to look at what they were doing with this fucking thing, they were mortified by it. But they were like, you know what? I'm going to take it on the chin. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And at the very least, I can make this a good audio experience, you know, not counting the clanging sound effects, which haunts me in my nightmares.
Yeah. Quickly,
like,
Kaido Dan is completely right. Like, yeah, you've attached yourself to the project for completely personal incentive otherwise because you're not getting paid for it. So therefore, like, all the more reason to put your best foot forward.
Oh yeah, because like you don't have to be here. You could have backed out at any time. It's not like
you're
you
doing
had
this for free.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like if you walked into there and said, "Look, I disagree with the subject matter of this anime. I don't think I can bring to you my best foot forward. If you have another project I can work on, I would be happy to try and give that a shot, but I don't think I can work on this one." That is also an option you could have taken literally at any time.
Like, it sounds like he's trying to, like, martyrize
attitudes-
himself.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Like, he was like, ooh,
Yeah,
I
so
did this for free out of the goodness of my heart because I'm such a good person, but
This
also
is
it
how
was
you-
hell and I
this is what
hated
you
it.
gave me? I have graced you with my assistance free of charge, and you give me this slop to work with? How dare!
So, like, why did you sign on to the
like,
project
dude, shut
for
up.
free if you didn't know about, like, the story at all before?
Yeah, really.
Right.
It's kind of.
Also,
I mean,
make
I
sure
could
you
see
got-
him being offered it and being like, the idea is like, oh, I get to work on a dub. Holy shit, that's awesome. Yeah, whatever it is, I'll do it. And then he gets there and he's like, oh, I could see that. I could see that.
But again, it comes down to like professionalism.
Yep.
Like if you're going to work in the dubbing industry, you're going to run into anime that you probably don't like and don't want to work on. But hey, the tough shit, man. That's professionalism for you.
Like, I know we're probably going to get into it a little bit more later, so I don't want to belabor it too much, but I feel like attitudes like these seems to be what's very common and a lot of common examples of localizations that have been made to anime, games, movies, such and such, that have, you know, ruffled a lot of feathers over the years, especially the past 10 years. It's a lot of these very similar attitudes towards the material or elements of the material, which causes them to, you know, instead of just taking it on the chin and doing what they're supposed to do, they radically change the meaning of certain parts of the narrative. You know, they find that more comfortable. And that is le cringe.
Also,
as we say in the business.
Dedric's art of Tweety Celtic.
Oh.
Very cute.
Oh? Wait, let me see.
While you guys look that up, I'm going to read this line in a gag.
Sure.
Okay, so you have the world. It is nice. It is round. Shout out to anyone that fucking remembers that, because guess what? You're fucking old. Just like us.
Oh my god.
Fire. Okay, we'll take a nap. The fires and missiles. I will now speak. By the way, I will now speak this with a British accent, a pompous British accent, because that is how I view him. Okay, so it is quite unprofessional to openly shit talk a property you've worked on in this industry. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
Oh, so he knows.
Yeah, he knows.
Yeah. Yeah, this reminds me of that line that, like, Mr. Enter used to say in his videos. What I'm doing is wrong. What I know I'm doing is wrong, and I'm gonna do it anyway.
Lenti cannot express any opinions, as they have an official relationship with Sound Cadence Studios, Discotech, and Toei Animation. I, however, was a freelancing contractor and do not have any of those things. I am not speaking for Lenti anywhere in this post. Who can say what Lenti thinks? I am sure I don't know, except you did say that she kind of maybe hated
Yeah,
it.
you fucking
Also,
Very harder
motherfucker,
for your best friend.
you said you wanted to do future dubs of other things. You wanted to actually look into that as a career path. So now you've just torpedoed it. I hope you're happy about it, because you're shit-talking the thing you worked on.
I want to say very quickly, stereotypical gamer. No, I don't think that was originally on Newgrounds. It was originally on Albino Black Sheep. There, now you're very old, if you remember that website.
Oh, I remember watching on E-Bomb's World.
Albino Black Sheep is still technically online too, so even better.
All right. But I will tell you what I think, and I think that Lovecom is a bad show about Riza Koizumi, and an actual psychopath and all over useless freak.
Damn.
I have so much problems with that, because for one thing, you are talking about a character who is meant to be 15 years old as a psychopath.
All 15-year-olds are psychopaths, idiot.
Yeah. What else is new, asshole?
Is like, exaggeration is one thing, but oh my god, why do you have to call this character a psychopath?
Why emphasis
Especially
on
when
the
you're
freak.
wrong.
Like when you consider the fact that the show is about her complex over being too large, her, for lack of a better term, her dysphoria, and you're calling her a freak? Wow, dude. Holy fuck.
Yeah, that's pretty insensitive. Like, I get it. Sometimes when like you have a character that isn't traditionally likable, I understand that it can be very difficult. Like it can be an issue writing wise if you lay on their unlikable aspects too thick for your audience to actually get into. But that is absolutely not the case with Risa in this show. Like
No,
I said,
it's not.
granted, I'm not a super fan coming out the woodwork here. But I did the 3-episode rule, herder. But yeah, I watched 3 episodes of this fucking thing.
Akulah jawaban untuk semua permasalahan kulitmu. Diformulasikan dengan 5 jenis ceramide yang berbeda. Dalam setiap usapan lembut, aku memperbaiki dan menjaga barrier kulitmu. Skin TV, repair your skin barrier.
And what the fuck are you talking about, dude?
And I watched 14 episodes, so I watched more than halfway through the anime, and I can say I am genuinely a fan of this anime now, and I don't know what the hell he's talking about when it comes to Risa being a psychopath. Like, for the majority of it, she is just fawning over a guy she likes and then crying because he doesn't return her affections, and then like moping about it because she's a teenager, and it's like, yeah, that's what teenagers do.
I would love to see this man's reaction to Peach Girl. I think his brain would explode.
Oh my god. I think he would rage so hard at Peach Girl.
If what I hear about Peach Girl is correct, this man would have a conniption.
Oh, he would. He totally would. Because Sai is literally best girl, but she is also worst girl. Like Raymond has said about her multiple times. She, like, the things that they do in Peach Girl is like leagues and above anything that they've done so far in Lovely Complex. And I know that they took some plot arcs out of the manga because I don't think that they had the episode count. But comparing what I heard about the manga stuff that they took out of Lovely Complex, that has nothing on Peach Girl. Nothing at all. Like, there's nothing like that. No.
Also, a rom-com, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Aren't
rom-com.
those usually exaggerated for the sake of romantic comedy?
Yep.
It's an enemies.
Have a winner.
It is an enemies to lovers rom-com where the main two leads are at each other's throats very, very hard at the beginning of the series because they actively hate each other. And the whole point of the anime is to watch how they fall in love. Wow, what a concept.
I know, that has never happened before, ever in the history of romance. That never happened.
Oh,
How
get ready.
Imply such a thing.
Well, he's about to drop about things that also have never happened in the history of romantic comedies. Risa is an inconsistently written, awful character who does nothing but miscommunicate and cause problems. She is actively abusive towards Otani in the entire series. Every time she does something wrong, the narrative gaslights you by having the entire cast act like it's Otani's fault. She will then yell at him until he gives her a gift to make it up to her. I hate her terribly. This is a Riza Koizumi call-out post. I could go on for hours about the stupid things Riza says and does, but I think the best example is probably the following. After 2.5 years of poorly wooing Otani, they finally start dating. Almost immediately afterwards, her co-worker, a 14-year-old boy, tries to kiss her on the mouth while she's asleep. That's assault.
Yeah, it is.
Sins wrote
Okay.
But
I understand he elaborates later, but I just want because me and Twilight were discussing this last night. This particular phrasing is so disgusting because, like, if you only read this paragraph as you understand English works, paragraphs are condensed thoughts, like they are complete thoughts in it of themselves. This is a Riza. So Riza says it does, but the best example is probably the following. This thing happens. She gets assaulted by someone, but somehow it's a problem for her.
yeah, it's her fault. Riza is a bad person because she got assaulted, and she is a bad person with the way that she decided to deal with the person who assaulted her.
I'm just arguing from the point of structure, the fact that he didn't immediately follow, like,
anyone who looks at this and stops at that sentence will kind of look at it as like, okay, so are you victim blaming?
Yeah, victim blaming.
Yeah.
But even after the elaboration, it's still victim blaming. Because here we go. Otani sees this and assumes she's cheating on him, but the misunderstanding is quickly explained and all is well. So then, of course, Riza decides to go on a date with her assaulter out of pity, and then not tell her boyfriend about it, and then he discovers her doing this, so he breaks up with her, obviously. For some reason, the next episode... Oh, sorry, we'll go into that next.
I love how he basically treats Otani as though he is an innocent baby who has done nothing wrong. I've actually watched the show, and I know that this motherfucker is so goddamn dense that he is thicker than the mantle of the earth.
Well, not even just that he's dense. He's also like, actually, this is kind of the source of why
she
Risa
directly
and Otani
said
are into each other. Like they, I know that this is part of why they like each other. It's because they're both pretty brash and very immature and kind of think before they leap in a lot of ways, and they're kind of scrappy. They're quippy.
Yeah,
shit.
Like
they're teenagers, people.
She has directly told him, the person who I am in love with is you, and has directly heard her best friend say, Otani, she loves you. And both times that he has heard that, he didn't believe them. He thought that they were joking.
Listen,
it took her crying and screaming at him, hey, have you ever considered that maybe I am telling you the truth and that the person that I love is you? And even then, it still took him a couple of minutes.
Listen, poor self-esteem is a hell of a drug, guys, okay? That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
Like, having rom-coms do a they break up kind of deal is so common, and that's far from being, like, I remember the worst one I saw was Scrubs back in the day, where the main dude finally starts dating the main girl he's been fawning over, and then she's like, I'm here and I'm all yours, and he's like, OMG, I don't want her anymore. Like, literally in that same second of them beginning to date. And I was like, why? What do you mean? It's just an excuse to drag out the plot, because that's what you do with the story, like a rom-com. You drag it out for drama.
Yeah. Oh, Dan, yes. I was also going to say at some point that, yeah, part of the reason why he has these issues is because he did have a girlfriend that he had for 2 years. He was incredibly infatuated with her. She dumped him for a much taller guy. So he thought that the reason why she dumped him was because she wasn't into him as a short man.
So, like I said, this is what poor self-esteem does to a motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. Like, these are all reasonable things. Like, yes, they are exaggerated for the comedy aspect as well for the drama aspect. It's a cartoon. Of course it's going to be exaggerated.
We got to be careful. We got to be careful about throwing that line around after our criticisms of the movie. We like, I get what you mean. It's animation, so exaggeration is par for the course, but we gotta be careful with the C word.
It's a completely different context. She was using that word to dismiss a criticism. I am using the word to describe the word itself. That is completely different. Cartoon is exaggeration.
Okay, well, for some reason, the next episode, the entire cast turns to Otani and is like, damn, dude, when are you going to forgive Riza? It's so fucking awful. Lovely Complex, episode 22, 2104-2022. Otani declares a catastrophic collapse. Riza gets assaulted and then goes on a date with her assaulter. Otani breaks up with her, understandably.
See, he's doing the Otani defense thing again. I just think that he has a bias. Because like he didn't say anything so far against Otani. Like he so far basically acts like Otani has done nothing wrong. Like
it doesn't like.
Dude,
you said,
and also I just love how he puts in the freaking Evangelion style like title card bullshit here. Like I see what you're doing.
Well, no, this
man.
might I think this is an image excerpt from the script. I want to say.
Yeah.
I want to say this is how they like behind the scenes like labeled things.
Oh my god, new Deaderex, sorry.
Yeah, I was just about to post that in the chat.
Being plagued by the clanging.
You sound like an English whisper?
What?
Whisper.
What is an English whisper?
Oh, wait. I think Whisper might be a specific character. Maybe.
Jello hates women confirmed. Yes, confirmed.
Yeah.
So I haven't watched
Epithet erased.
You're now learning why I can't pronounce the word. So, but it stars a female character, kind of. I know it's like a girl and then a dude. From what I've seen, I've only seen the dude doing things though, and then the girl's just kind of there. Am I wrong? Or...
I don't know. I haven't watched Epithet erased either.
Me neither.
I have no interest in it. I never did.
I really tried, and I just could not get into the pacing, and it was mostly the pacing, honestly.